It has begun. Here we are. Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. Almost messed that up. What's up, kids? Here we are. Sully, Thaddeus, DJ, Succotash, David. Who else do we have here? That's who we got in the chat, at least. There may be other people. DJ, just wanted to let you know I got your email and throw some times out. Schedule's pretty busy tomorrow and Friday, but we'll find a little slot. So let's just send me another email. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow. All right. Have we all taken our all? Thank you, DJ. Have we all taken our aspirin? It's not about me. It's about everybody. We're a collective here on the channel. And it's good to see everybody here for the weekly live stream. Just a little bit of housekeeping I want to mention here. As you know, normally the first Wednesday of every month is Camera Flask. Some scheduling conflicts occurring. It's really, quite honestly, it's my fault because I'm going to be out of town on a production, and my flight basically is happening as the live stream would be occurring. So I can't really change that. So normally we would be having the episode in March, Wednesday, March 6th. It's not going to move to the next Wednesday. It's going to move to the next Thursday because of other people's scheduling conflicts. So it'll be on the 14th, unless there's something I'm not thinking about. No, we're good. So it's going to be the 14th. So I have to remember that. I'll make a note for myself. 14th, CNF, Camera Flask. I'll post that up onto the channel because next week's live stream is already scheduled, but that one is not. Unbelievable what's going on. I might have a drink today. We'll see. It's kind of that. It's not a bad day. It's a good day, actually. You know what? I'm going to have a drink. I have one here. I'm going to show you what I'm having to drink. It's not Camera Flask, but we were talking about it. Hold on. I'm going local here. This is called Cascade Range Broken Top. It's a mountain whiskey. Whew. And it's from Sisters, Oregon. So a stone's throw from here. As the crow flies, I don't know how many miles it is, but it takes 3 hours to get to Sisters? Not too bad. All right. Good. So we've got a couple of things up on the board already. Fuji X106 Roman numerals with many, many exclamation points from Brandon over here. My monitor is kind of cocked a little bit the wrong way right now because we were doing a still shoot in here and I was kind of moving things around and I forgot to bring it back. So if I look like I'm looking on a sharp angle, that's why. All right. Here's the cheers, by the way, to I'm not going to drink all of this. There's water in here too. It's strong stuff. First sponsor for the Daily Drop just happened. Starting in April. I think other people will come in maybe starting even before. Legitimate company. AJA. So pretty cool. And they're coming on as a sponsor. And we're going to get a couple of their products into content over the next few months. And I was just on a Zoom. Really, everybody in the U.S. now has moved to Teams meetings. Let's just call a spade, but I still do Zoom. But we were having a very geeky conversation about their product lines, mini converters, a product called Color Box, and SDR, Standard Dynamic Range, HDR, and really just trying to identify areas that people should focus on. And in fact, I just shot tomorrow's episode of the Daily Drop, and it's a homework assignment where there's a video that that somebody at AJA turned me on to, and it's fantastic. It's got geekiness there, but in reality, it's, so well explained for people who are not wanting to tackle a really complex subject. um, I think you'll glean a lot of knowledge from it. So, you got to sit down and watch. It's not in the episode. I talk about some other things in the episode. You're going to have to go to the link. But it's great. So, first sponsor, I'm feeling really good about that. Some other conversations going on with some other companies right now. And it's just finding the right fit in terms of making sure that what's happening on the channel and specifically with the daily drop doesn't get lost because of sponsorship and partnerships, because that's never going to work. It's educational, it's about doing, it's about practical application, and that essence has to be the core of what the channel is all about. So if I'm messing up on that, you keep me in my place. I said it here, I said it live. But by the time this is recorded, who cares? All right, here we go. They do care. You guys care. All right, we got some cheers here. Thank you very much. Yeah, Oregon has some good whiskeys, I have to say, DJ Secretash. And all right. So first couple of things before this chat just goes en fuego, which I hope it does. We're gonna Brandon talk a little bit about this Fuji X106. I have a 5. Absolutely love it. It's my favorite. Just go to, besides having the iPhone for certain things. If I want to go street photography, just go find frames, all that kind of stuff. The 5 is fantastic. Inflated like crazy in terms of price. What are the big differences? Look, ultimately, it's the same camera in terms of the way they design the camera. Same size, same battery, same dials, same single through the battery slot, SD card kind of functionality. There's really just two things that you're getting from this. You're getting higher megapixel, so we've got a 40 megapixel sensor in the 6, and IBIS. So for all you people who are trying to shoot stuff at slower than a 1/60th of a second handheld, I don't know if you're shooting stills. I'm not saying IBIS can't help for certain things, for sure. You want to do a handheld slow shutter shot, but I mean, there is a reason these things called tripods exist. But if you're shooting video, for sure, I think IBIS will definitely be a handy thing. So I think it's great. I think if you own a 5, quite honestly, and I haven't watched a lot of videos, but just based on the information I've gleaned from it, um, unless you really need those bigger file sizes and IBIS for some reason, I think you're going to be great on a 5. But that's not just me talking myself into not wanting the 6. I do truly believe that, uh, Mr. Brandon. It's like you're a teacher, Mr. Brandon. I'm going to call you. There we go. All right. So DJ wants to talk about the newish Godox 5-inch monitor that also has USB-C power. I think I tried the Godox, and I think I prefer the DesView. Now, I don't know if DesView does a 5-inch as well. But for the money, I'm kind of feeling pretty good about that. And hold on one second. Yeah, hold on. I've got a kind of beefy small rig monitor mount here for this, and this monitor is really, really lightweight. The big thing is the screen is very shiny, so it picks up fingerprints very easily, and I have not found um, a matte finish because it's 2800 nits, so it's really bright. I haven't found a matte finish for this yet that I like. And it does look a little large on a mirrorless camera, but I have to say that if you're USB-C powering this and all you have on this is a cable, or I had shown on another episode a NPF dummy battery to USB-C, it's extremely lightweight. It's not adding a lot, and you are, for these old tired eyes, gaining a lot more real estate in terms of stuff. I'm sure the Godox is a decent one, but I think I remember, like, look, the menu's crude in here to a degree as well. Nothing's like Page OS from Small HD, but I prefer this one, I have to say. And that's just me. So, that's just an initial reaction period. I'll have to look back. Hold on. Give me a second, kids. I'm here and I'm looking for questions. Hold on. Let me scroll down here and see what we've got. Harrison, glad to have you on the live show again. Time for some beers and gear talk. Yeah, well, we can do a drink today. It's fine. Mm-hmm. No shillery. Exactly, DJ. It's not. In fact, if you follow Curtis Judd, which if you don't, you should. Curtis is fantastic. He has a great episode that he just posted about "Am I a Shill?" Or I'm just paraphrasing the title here. Give me 1 second, kids. I'm watching the comments, but I'm trying to check for something here that I am trying to verify. 5 what? R5? No, FX Fuji X106 is what just came out. Yes, 2800 nits. Just trying to keep things going here while I look something up. Hold on, let's see. Hopefully nobody has bothered me with anything. No. Oh, a video collab. Nah, it's probably some baloney. Hold on. Here we go. I'm just checking. Here we go. Is this it? No. I thought I had the Godox monitor in. So maybe I need to get a Godox monitor in and check that out. Do me a favor, DJ. Send me a link to the one that you were looking at. Oh, no. Well, so what I did try, because I was really going for a 7-inch monitor, was the Godox GM7S 7-inch monitor. And I kind of prefer the DesView. So if it's along that line and it's a 5-inch version of that, then I could feel pretty confident in terms of my personal opinion on that. Okay, so there we go. Bringing back all the comments. So, so I was advised a long time ago to split my power going to both monitor and camera, as the HDMI port could sometimes cause power issues that could fry the camera. As in, like, you're doing PD to the camera from the same and then to the monitor, or not powering your monitor from the camera, which you can do with small HD things. I need some clarification on that, because it sounds like I'm not totally sure what you're saying. Ding dong, ding dong. Ding dongs are new. Your comments are ridiculous, by the way. I did reply to your comment, ding dong, about the size thing, which I thought was pretty funny. But now you're saying you're pretty sure Curtis has sleeve tattoos. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. I'm pretty sure he's an Ento, and I'm pretty sure that I'm about 3 feet shorter than he is. I've been on a panel with him at NAB before, and it's ridiculous because, you're looking like this, and then I'll start to speak, and people are looking down basically at the ground. What's up? Oh no. Yeah, Blackmagic Video Assist is pretty cool. Great little product. Same same power source for both camera and monitor, like a single split fed battery was a no. I don't know. That could definitely be the case, but yeah, we're talking Curtis Judd because he did a great video about whether or not he's a shill, which I think is great. The guy is solid always. What's David got? You just found out your short film Dead Tone won Best Thriller in the Albanian Festival. Lumina Flicks International Shorts. That's awesome. Very nice. Good stuff. All right, let's get back to business here. All right, we've already talked about Camera Flask being on the 14th, a Thursday, no less. Depending on my schedule, what I might do is, because I'm not doing a live stream on the 6th, is I'll do a live stream on the 13th, just a regular this thing, and then we'll do Cameron Flask the next day. So that's fingers crossed the way it's going to work out. We'll see based on stuff. Um, I don't think so. Actually, there's another great episode that Curtis had recently um, where he's out of town, and the person, I believe it's his daughter who handles his production and post, is the on-camera talent, and she's breaking down a product, a light, and I thought it was fun to watch that too. So I thought that was good. And then every once in a while, Curtis can't help himself, and he's like remoting in from a hotel room, because he's obviously seen the video, and then he inserts himself and he clarifies something, or I mean, it totally reminds me of being a dad. Like I would do the same exact thing. I couldn't help myself. But that's also great. So look for that on the channel, and that's pretty cool. All right, so now let's get down to business. Here we are. I've shot today's episode of the Daily Drop. It's not fully edited yet, but that's in the can and ready to go. Your homework assignment on HDR. And you got to sit down. I mean, it's going to take 35, 40 minutes of your life, but you're going to learn something. I did, and I know some of this stuff. It's a good refresher for me as well, but there we go. Class he is. Curtis is great. Curtis has a video where he's wearing a puffy vest, and I was wondering why he doesn't turn the heat on in his home. I don't know. I think that, you know what? Let me actually, because Curtis is a great guy, and I know we all know that. And I've actually been on a show of his in the past, and he's incredibly knowledgeable. He's one of the few resources that are out there that are going to be so solid when it comes to the information he shares. But in the audio stuff, forget about it. And this space that I'm in right now was not always an insulated space. It was literally you don't even know. I mean, the things that I used to do. I would get hired by a company like Small HD to create videos, and I would have propane space heaters sitting underneath the desk. And in between takes, we would like blast heat into the space. And I was doing that stuff in January, February, March, and yeah, I understand. And I believe it is in his basement, and maybe it's just not finished. And so, what are you going to do? But then you get a cool concrete wall in the background. I now don't have that issue. I can work in here, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Jess says propane heaters freezing me. Yes, because she would be out here doing production with me. A couple of other people were. But you know what? You get the job done. You got to pay for your kids, if you have kids, to go to school, and you're buying the groceries and paying the mortgage. And you just do what you got to do to get it done. And I am crazy. It's 100% true, DJ. And let me just do a little shout out here. DJ Suckertash's partner, we got to get a link up to that site, and some of the stuff, the food, the recipes that are coming out of that crazy workshop are insane. So I made one of the recipes on Saturday. Jess had a birthday party, and it was about 14 or 15 of us, and I made this Bloody Mary steak. You don't you don't you don't marinate in the Bloody Mary. It's a riff on Bloody Marys. So essentially, the steak itself, room temperature, kosher salt. That's it. That's what's going on the steak, and then it's a hard sear to your desired temperature. You want to go medium rare, medium. That's really the ceiling, but we have a friend who likes to go that's into the well done land. And then cherry tomatoes until they're weeping. And then inside of that goodness goes crushed garlic, vodka, celery salt, Worcestershire sauce, um, butter. And then when the butter went in, it got a little sweet. So I put more horseradish. Did I say horseradish? Horseradish goes in there. That's a key ingredient. And yeah, Susan's a genius. And it's so good. Um, and that's it. That becomes the sauce that you serve either on, we did, or on the side with the steaks, and it is delicious. So there you go. And then I made it with potatoes bravas. So I parboiled. I did it in the oven, but a lot of olive oil, and then you finish with like sweet paprika, and then I made a bravas sauce, which is kind of a little spicy, and then I did like a lemon garlic aioli, and then drizzled both of them onto the crispy potatoes bravas, and it was that. And then we did a big salad. And Jess, what else did we have? There was another side. I mean, the appetizers are great too. We had shrimp and we did, there's this one my friend does. It's asparagus. And then you put like a really salty piece of cheese in there. And then you wrap it in prosciutto and you just whack them in the oven for a few. And that's delicious. We had a chicken, like a souvlaki chicken and some pita bread, tzatziki. It's kind of like a, you know, a fun evening. And then ridiculous, a friend of ours made. He's like, oh, he's an amazing baker. He's like, what should I make? And Jess is usually the one that makes everybody's birthday cakes, but I said espresso chocolate torte. Just threw that out there. Ridiculous. And then he made small meringues with it, and and then we made some fresh whipped cream. Beautiful. All right. Mitch, what's happening? Bought your first Aperture 600D today. Looking forward to pushing it through some magic cloth, as you should. In fact, this beautiful source right here is a 2-stop magic cloth. Well, magic cloth is basically 2 stops. Great modifier. Very neutral overall. Really softens things up, and I'm a big fan. In fact, I have a 4x4 piece of magic cloth that I use on like my DP kit, the 4x4 frame from Westcott. But I am considering getting a 6x6 because I love 6x6. I have 6x6 half grid cloth that I use all of the time. But there's just something about that bloomed light that magic cloth gives you that's kind of magic. Sometimes we would say smagic or smagical, super magical. Yes, espresso chocolate torch. Yes, don't forget. You got it. All right. Oh, hey, it's Marin, right? Real estate photography and video. I did answer your question about how the cameras helped me or my buddy Doug Rappaport work faster, but I will elaborate just a little bit more. So the pain point, if you haven't seen it, my buddy Doug Rappaport is a guitar player, and excuse me. My buddy Doug Rappaport is I can't edit that out. When I do the daily episodes, I can just, cut to a tighter shot, or I can just go to something else and I can get rid of that stuff. But I can't do that on a live stream. So you got to deal with it. So buddy Doug Rappaport, guitar player, fantastic. Known him since I was a teenager. And about 5 years ago, I went into his home studio space and we basically did a kind of an upgrade. It was sort of a phase 1 upgrade to being able to up the quality of his content. So part of that was actually building out what the space was going to look like visually, and then part of it was how he's going to shoot it. And he's got 2 older DSLR cameras that are less than stellar when it comes to autofocus. They're also both HD, which there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of content that's being created now is getting uploaded in ultra high definition. And so he wants to up the quality of what his videos are, and he's kind of in a similar space to me, where he creates a lot of content for manufacturers in and around equipment like amps and pedals and guitars and stuff like that. And so I had him come over here, and that's what the episode is. 2 days ago, and basically 2 days, I think so, and or yesterday's episode. In We shot it 2 days ago, and basically take some cameras and some setups and some lighting, and figure out ways that we could kind of up the quality if he made an investment. And we use two cameras. We use the FX30, and we use the A7C2. I'm actually recommending for him that he just goes with two FX30s, and two lenses. We use the 18 to 50 Sigma f2.8, and then the 23 millimeter, which is great when you're in not like huge spaces, but not tiny spaces. A 23 millimeter Sigma, which is the f1.4, and we shot a lot of different setups with that, close-ups of a product, and Doug on camera, and then just of the guitar. And we're talking out really behind the scenes how to shoot b-roll, and ways that he could do that quickly and easily. So we had to set up, I don't have it. Yeah, I do actually. Hold on. I'm still here. Um, Basically, for him, using tripods when he's locking off the two cameras, but using a monopod, but with a very quick setup. This is the one from Suray, which I like because the feet are incredibly stable when they're on the ground. And you can change the height very, very quickly, much faster than you can with a tripod, just to like bang out fast b-roll for stuff. Something I should do more of, quite honestly. So to finish answering the question, his autofocus sucks, and really the cameras are pretty horrible in low light, and they're HD, and that's not really the Achilles heel, but those other two things. And like me, he's creating the content by himself. So he has to set up one or two cameras, and he is constantly going back because he's not completely in focus. He moves, something changes, and it's just maddening because you're done with a take and you do a playback. Sometimes you do a playback on a smaller screen. That's why larger monitors like this are very handy. And you think that it's in focus because it looks like it is, and then you bring it in and it's soft. Your eyes are soft, or something's out of focus. So then you have to, it's a big sigh, and then you have to go back and you have to do basically the whole thing again. It might be slightly faster to do it because you've done it already, but the reality is you're wasting a lot of time. So for me, the big epiphany with cameras like the FX30, the A7C2, obviously the FX3, and very close second to the Sonys, like the R5C from Canon. And that camera has things that these cameras don't. So, no perfect camera in the world, just makes getting to the finish line a lot faster. So when you can rely upon the autofocus system in your camera system, then when you shoot a take, as long as you have some sort of monitor to give you sort of visual representation, I can move around now, and focus is not an issue with these cameras, as long as I'm feeding a little bit of light. But they're so good at latching on to people that you have to have accidentally changed the setting in the camera for it to really go wrong, which you can, but you know what I'm saying. So that's really the only answer to that question. Is it's just you're relying upon that camera to do some things as a solo operator that I found historically, and Doug has found, has had to be redone so many times in the past, and that just loses time. And you know how that goes. It's frustrating creatively, and we're here for a certain amount of time. Why do I have to redo a take that was a good take because of the autofocus, now that we have that technology? All right. I hope that answers it. If you want a little bit more follow up to that, please let me know. But that's really the reason. All right, kids. Next, how's the character of Magic Cloth as bounce? Fantastic. So it's two stops, very similar properties. Um, it's not quite opaque, but because it is quite opaque, it is really good for bouncing. And so I really, really like Magic Cloth for both of those reasons. I still love half grid cloth as well. These feet are bonkers on the Sue. They actually just came out with a new monopod. I saw it on Cine D, which apparently has like a quick release for changing the height. I got to get my hands on one of those to test it because by far the Sue monopod is my favorite on the market right now because of the sturdiness of those feet and sort of the way it's designed. So if I can then couple that with a quick release to change the height super fast, it's going to make my life just like the AF system. It's going to make it faster. Makes me want to shoot more B-roll and stuff. I don't have to sit there and fiddle. DJ says, is it worthwhile in a situation like that, hopping on one of the off-camera monitor feeds to a full... It is, DJ, to go check and check critical focus. The other thing is that, you know, a lot of these monitors, even though the vast majority are HD, so they're 1920 by 1080, they're essentially exactly quartered the resolution. Like if you had, you know, it's stupid to say this, but if you had 4 of these, they would fill up 3840 by 2160. So when you do a 1-to-1 pixel, if the monitor has that feature, that looks kind of weird where you see the other, forget it, whatever. When you do a 1-to-1 pixel, you can really check critical focus. But when you're looking at a 4K image at 1920 by 1080, it will perceptibly seem sharper than it may actually be when you bring it in. But we're really talking about that fast kind of, you know, this kind of content production, meaning the daily drop, where you're quickly setting up 1 or 2 cameras and things like, you know, AF for people and touch focus and things can be very, very handy in those situations. I think that's what you meant, DJ. All right. Your Steadicam monopod has a foot release for height adjustment, but it does not have wide feet. Sully, I have that. And that is exactly why I still prefer the Sue. It's a cool little feature. It's like a pneumatic height adjustment for the Steadicam. And I think it's a cool product, but it kind of needs that one other thing. Gemception. Exactly, David. You knew where I was going with that. All right. I'm caught up. I'm going fast here. Let's get some questions. I'm not knowing what's happening, but you know, this is great. What are we in? Like about halfway mark, maybe? And we're already at like 70 comments. That's what I like to see. So what else we got? Come on, kids. I'm ready for this. Not bad for I'm not saying we have enough people here, but not bad in terms of the quantity of comments based on the number of people are here. But let's get an at theC47. Let's get another thing going here, another topic. And here we go. Ding dong's coming in. I hear the bells are ringing. The kicker light I'm using today, and fill in the blank, there's a number that you could use, but this is the Filix. Some people like to say Felix. I say Filix P360 Pro. And it's a little COB light, and it is in a little tiny softbox. And it's just softening it up a little. And what I really like about that light, and there's some others that I really like, is that it dims really, really low. Right now, I think I'm at 12%. I can go much lower than this. It also has plus minus green adjustment for a bicolor light. Not all of them do. And it's a beautiful thing. But there's so many other lights. I actually was using the new Pavo Slim 1x1 through a softbox, and I really like that as well. The downside was that at 1% it was too bright, which is a good problem to have, but their dimming curve and sort of where they start at 1% is just a little too bright for me for like a little kicker. I'm going to turn that down just a little. That's 10%. Yeah, that's feeling a little better. I felt like it was a little sourcey. I mean, it's still sourcey, but you know, it's kind of playing. It's not. I could change the color a little bit. It's kind of playing off of that as a fake motivation, sort of. I guess it's a stretch, but let's go with the stretch. All right, Marin, real estate photography and video, says another question. Can you describe your key light setup for this current live stream? How are you keeping the source out of your glasses? Well, I can get them in there, but it's sort of off to the side just slightly. That's a part of it. And then I have a little bit of a return here with the Rode Rags 2, which is grabbing a little bit of that light and giving me a little bit of fill right here. And it's a big source. Well, it's not huge. It's an Octa 3, which is what, about 42 inches across, I think. Let's see. Come on, kids. Yeah, about 40 across. So it's not a huge. I mean, I have other soft boxes that are 48 inches, 60 inches. I've got the huge Nano over there, which is 150 centimeters, which is about a 60. But it's going through Magic Cloth, which is very soft. And if you angle it in the right place, and I'm just looking to camera, you'll catch it every once in a while. But the larger the source is, the less bothersome it is. If I really wanted to keep that out, I could keep pushing that off a little bit in this direction and still make sure you can see that the catch, it's just like, where's the catch? Where are we going to lose it? Once it starts to get to a certain place, you're going to lose the catch light. That's no bueno. There you go. That's what I got for you. Sully says, do I have large Mitchell mount tripods like those sold by Pro-Aim? I don't, though I am talking to Miller about doing some stuff with some of their larger fluid heads that can have Mitchell mounts and stuff like that. Generally, my camera systems don't get really large unless I'm doing like a production for a client, and then we're renting. And then we might have a bigger camera and a bigger lens, and it may make sense to, go on to something with a Mitchell mount. But it's just not really something that fits into my day in, day out production. It doesn't make a lot of sense. My largest fluid head is 100 millimeter. A lot of the Mitchell stuff, 150. I mean, you're talking about big cameras with big like Ingenue or Canon zooms. And the cameras are getting smaller and smaller, even by companies like RE and, of course, Red cameras. They're dense, but they're small. But it's how you build them out for ACs and, the transmitters and the monitors and everything else. And you know what I'm talking about. All right. What's next? Let's get on to the next question. We got to keep this. Oh, Thaddeus, sorry. I have not gotten to try Sora yet. I don't know. Very few people have. I think that we're really seeing, the coming out party of this new AI, generative AI tool that OpenAI is, aka Skynet, has released. But I hope to, because I think that, for me, where I'd love this to go is I'd like to generate photorealistic generic environments that are at least 2.5D that can be used in virtual production, even if it's just in a green screen environment. I have a soft spot in my heart as well, ding dong, for old school divas. And the tungsten bulbs more so than the daylight. The daylight, we're so far off their stamped color temperature, but they're great. They're soft by nature. You've got fluorescent tubes which, they spray phosphor on the inside of them. That's how it works, by the way. It's not unlike LED technology. So you've got that phosphor in there. And then, what KinoFlow did is they did two things. They took the spike out of the lights, which was a big problem, very similar to when LEDs came out. And then they put ballast on them. So they regulated them so you didn't get flicker. They're part of the history, a big one, and they're still making some pretty great stuff. They're freestyle lights, and I think they're starting to drive them a little harder now, those LEDs, so you get more output out of them. And then Mimic is really interesting. It's almost like they took panels from an LED volume and they separated it and they created a rectangular LED volume panel, but they're using that for image-based lighting. Kind of genius, actually. Not cheap, but genius. Harrison says, what's something you have learned the hard way about cranking out content so fast doing the daily drop? That it sometimes takes a lot longer than I think it's going to take, because, and part of that's my fault, Harrison, because I, you know, sometimes I have an idea of where I'm going with content and I spend time creating it and I'm just not happy with it. I don't think there's enough, like, not every episode's going to hit, in fact, it's kind of ridiculous to me that I did an episode on USB-C powered 7-inch monitor. And that episode has, 5, 6 times more views than a normal episode would have. Why? I don't know. I don't understand the algorithm. I don't understand any of that stuff. But I do know that sometimes I go down a path of creating content and I'm just not happy with it. There's just something there that I don't want to publish. And I also know that there's going to be times, like if I do a book review, it's good content. It's for a reason. I think about it, but that means I have very little time. And so I'm here this week. I'm here all next week. And then that following Sunday, I leave for a 3-day, we'll say 4-day production in terms of time being gone. And I'm not going to have time to do the daily drop. So next week, I have to shoot 8 episodes because I have to make sure that I have, well, wait a minute. Shoot, I'm coming back on Wednesday. I might have to shoot 9 episodes next week. So you might get a book review or two. But I think that's that. And it's also, I wouldn't say it's learning the hard way because I did this before for over 3 years. But I've learned that I have to let go a little bit, and I have to make sure that I don't think that the content is too precious. It's important to me and it has to have educational value, but I can't not sleep at night because I thought, oh, I should have said this in the episode or I should have said that. In fact, the thing that I remind myself when that happens is I do this 5 times a week, so I can always add information to another episode. I can always do that. And I don't expect everybody to watch I don't expect everybody to watch every day. That's not going to happen. And if you do, I really, really appreciate it, because I know that not every topic is going to be perfect for everybody. But I do, at the same time, feel like that the content I'm trying to create is, again, a little bit more evergreen. It's supposed to sometimes acknowledge something timely, like OpenAI's Sora. But most of the time, I want to talk about things that are what we have to start thinking about for going forward, or almost going backwards and saying, here's, tech and craft that you need to know about. And that's kind of in between in terms of the thing that I'm going to post today. And you have your homework assignment about HDR. So, yeah. David says Mario Bertoli has a video on it at YouTube. What, a video on what? I'd be interested. Okay. James, good to have you here. Asking any experience with the Yongnuo lens. I know the company Yongnuo lenses, thinking about trying their new 11 millimeter f 1.8. Supposedly the 50 is way better than expected. I do not. I have a 50 from Seven Artisans, which is I think it's a 1.2 manual lens, surprisingly good. Uh, uh, I have never really used any lenses from that company. Laowa, yes. For crop sensor camera for X mount, I have it's not on here right now. I have the 9 millimeter zero D or distortion. I mean, you get some barrel distortion. Let's not be, a 9 millimeter, a little bit, but it's pretty remarkable at the right height and angle how little distortion there is. And their equivalent in a full frame is the 12 millimeter. But I don't have any. But I'm sure that 11 is pretty inexpensive, so maybe it's worth a try. Is it manual? Is it autofocus? Interested to hear about that. What camera did I start on? Well, video camera. There's what I think I started on, which is what I learned on, but then I had already been producing a lot of content that had been shot on Betacam SP and Digi Beta, digital Betacam, but I wasn't operating. I didn't have anything to do with that. Then there was the trend towards mini DV, and that's really when I started going into cameras. And that was sort of XL1, XL2 times. And again, I still wasn't really, I was producing, I wasn't really operating. But I'd get like an Optura Pi camera from Canon and mess around with that and just kind of get my feet wet into that space. But it wasn't until the DVX 100 series came out that I really started buying cameras. And that began, I don't even want to admit how many cameras I have, but DVX 100, that then moved into, we were doing HVX 200 stuff, though I never owned that camera system. Then EX1, EX3 were very big on the market, half-inch chip, which was generally bigger than the 1/3 inch chip that a lot of the other mini DV cameras are using, not as large as what the broadcast cameras are using, which is 2/3 inch chip. And EX1, I bought there was the 3, and then it just kept going from there. And then eventually we were using 35 millimeter lens adapters, and when the 5D Mark II came out, that was a big change. It was only 30 frames per second, but we still shot very shallow depth of field, small movement, got a lot of those ingredients, except for the frame rate. And then they released a 24 upgrade, and then the rest is history. And then, then it's been a lot of cameras. FS700 I've owned, done tons of production on FS7, FS7 II, C300, C300 Mark II. I own 2 C100 Mark I's. Yeah, but those Ikegami cameras are, they're big. And, a Betacam SP with a lens on it wasn't nothing, I don't know the 59 though. If it was on the shoulder, then it was heavy. The batteries are smaller now. They're smaller, they're lighter, they have just as much, if not more, output. It's a beautiful thing. All right, what we got next? $275 for that? I don't know, James. Take a chance, maybe. I don't know. C100 has some of the best color ever for a 1080 camera. Absolutely. And that 4K sensor, going down to HD, secret sauce. That was a unicorn camera. And unicorn also because it was an 8-bit 420 camera. Didn't look like it. Let's be honest. Yeah. It was wait. Yes. Now I'm doubting myself. Maybe it was 422. No, it's 420. Whatever. They had a secret 8-bit sauce in the C100, and it worked. We're all spoiled now. 10-bit 422, high data rates, you know, H2S, FX30s, and all those things. Yeah. All right. So DJ says, I've not heard grousing from old ENG dogs as loud as when we stick them with Ursa's kitted out with Simpty backs. Man, those things. Yeah. If you're talking about the original Ursas, those are doorstops. Okay. Let's be honest. You have those things? You're not talking about Ursa minis, right? You're talking about the original Ursa? I remember one year when New Shooter was using the Ursas as their production cameras for NAB. That was like part of the deal. It was brutal. I mean, Matt was more used to having a big camera package, but um, the other people, and I think Eric to a degree, but a lot of the other shooters out there, they were lugging these things and they were just hurting bad with those original Ursas. You probably have the last ones around, DJ. That's kind of crazy stuff. Beautiful, love it. We got into like camera talk here. All right, what do we got next, kids? I'm waiting. Look, we got 9 minutes left. Let's get a couple more questions in. Everybody just kind of got all quiet when we started talking about ENG cameras. We still have the same amount of people, maybe even a +1. Let's get some questions here. Oh no, what's happening? David, ask a question. What do we got? Come on, bring something up here. I got work to do after this, but I'm going to take these next 9 minutes, have a little more whiskey, and chat it out with you. And then I'm getting back to the old computer and getting all that stuff. I have a whole write-up to do on some product development I'm doing, which is fun, but it gets very granular, as they say. You just bought the Think Tank Press Pass sling bag. I haven't seen that one. Think Tank makes great stuff. My two favorite bag companies are Think Tank. I have a couple of bags from them, and Tenba, and I think they make exceptional bags. A lot of stuff. I've never heard that saying. And we've got these old bulls in Perverts Row. That's so funny. At the amphitheater shooting. We always say nosebleed section, but that is classic. I love that. And I've been watching a lot of British shows, and you know they have this term nonce, which is awful. I mean, it's an awful term, and it's the people who are awful. But it's that Perverts Row thing is really funny. How close are we to the Pavo Slim video? Well, I used it a couple of days ago with Doug. I'm actually waiting. I think I mentioned this, Sully, for the Pavo Slim 120C, as in color. I have the bicolor unit. I think it's great, but I really am drawn to light fixtures nowadays that produce really good white light, but also have plus minus green shift on them. And I'm finding that even some of the better fixtures, like, you know, if I use the C800 color meter, you got to make a little bit of a shift there to like get it right there. So I'm a big fan of that. I think all fixtures nowadays, if you're not buying them used, you should be considering bicolor at least, if not color tunable. Plus is probably, I would say, to both. Generally, bicolor giving you more output and is really focused on giving you white light. So yeah. My bags change for every trip. I have a lot of Pelicans. I tend not to carry them because I'm trying to pack and hit that 50-pound limit on pretty much everything. But I have some of the Tenba cases, which they've rebranded now. I'm not saying it's a new name, but I think they call them Cinelux. They were called something else in the old days, and they're like semi-rigid cases, and they're great because your gear's not going to get messed up inside of there, but they're not as heavy. Pelican also makes some cases that are lightweight Pelicans now. Tenba backpacks. I like the Axis, AXIS. And then on my last trip, just because of the way I had to pack, and I use a lot of cubes and things like that, like the toolboxes from Tenba. I don't have one. Oh, I have one right. Stupid me. These things are fantastic. Um, they're clear on the top, but they're semi-rigid on the sides. Um, I put those into my cases with cameras and all kinds of kit and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I think that there's a ton of stuff. Um, so maybe I'll get into that more in the future because I've actually been thinking about that, DJ. So there we go. Mark, what do I think is a good 3-light kit for students? And it's a hard question to answer because there's so many fixtures out there right now. Um, I would start by asking you what your budget is. That's the first question. I need to know the answer to that question, and then I can make some recommendations. And I might suggest you start with 2 lights and modifiers and maybe a small little background light, rather than saying I need a 3-light kit for stuff. So it might be 3 lights, it might be 2, but give me an idea of budget. Bill, I have used book lights all of the time. I use them on productions all of the time. And in fact, I have, again, I'm backlogged here, but I have the C47 booklight kit, which is a 4 foot by 6 foot freestanding booklight where you can bounce off of one of the 4 by 6 panels and then you can diffuse through the other. Generally bouncing off of unbleached muslin and then through half grid cloth, but there are other modifiers that you can put on there. And what's nice about that kit is you can break it apart and then you can have 2 6 foot frames, 6 by 4 foot frames that you can use for other reasons. But book lights all the time. And a very simple book light you can build with just a couple of C stands and 40-inch arms. You just take, some cloth and just hang it from one. Like opaque cloth, or you could just get a roll of seamless and just hang it there and then clip it. And then the other one, you just put some sort of diffusion material. And you can build book lights out of anything. The whole reason I designed that kit with Westcott is because it's easier to throw into the back of a vehicle and travel with it and set up, and it's self-standing. And so it's essentially kind of like a V flat, but designed to be used as a book light. And my buddy Matt Porwall, if you've never been to his channel, has a great video breaking down my booklight kit. So you should check that out. Matt Porwall, Porwoll. Great YouTube channel, documentary cinematographer. And they do have a kit, Ono, the GVM, great video maker. But I don't know if I would go all panels. I think it's very advantageous right now to have one harder, we'll call it COB, chip on board light in your kit. And I'd push because there are companies now putting out at least 300 watts that you can get cost effectively. Would be great. Yeah, you can use 2 7-foot umbrellas. I mean, they're a little strange because of the curvature and how much space they take up. But you can absolutely build a book light that way. And it's just bouncing and diffusing. That's really what a book light is. So absolutely. All right, let's see where we are, kids. 350 here, 358 here on the left coast of the United States. Anything else we want to talk about in the last couple of minutes? I think I've covered it. Do I prefer booklight setups for technical and other people? It depends. A booklight is a little trickier when you're doing tabletop stuff. And I generally prefer to just set up a really, really large modifier and push through that. You could bounce, but I tend to push. That's where things like Magic Cloth are great. And if your COBs aren't too strong, 300 watts or less, you can go through certain soft boxes that have a baffle or a break. So you've got the emitter, then you have an inside break, which is going to spread the light more and soften it. And then you have the next break. So you're double breaking the light. But that, even if you don't do that, You could take a smaller softbox, let's just say a beauty dish 24 inches or a 36-inch one, or push through an umbrella and then push through another larger modifier to spread the light even more. So double breaks are sometimes great for creating really soft light. Um, when I was down in LA, what I did is I took my 4x4 frame and I put a 4x4 magic cloth, and then I have a I don't always use it, but I have a grid that's from DOP Choice, and that really just sort of focuses the light. But you lose light when you do that. David, you got one of those squid power cables? As long as it's not a lemon, it'll be great. It should work. All right, we can talk about all of these other things next week. I'll be around. Ciao. Ciao, ciao. Everybody, I appreciate you coming by every Wednesday, having a chat, hopefully learning something, or just, getting away from it for a little while. Got a lot more to talk about. I'm going to go finish editing this episode of the Daily Drop that I have now finished. And I'll see you kids next week. Same time, same bat channel, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Take care. Bye.